In this video, we are going to take a look at the latest version of AutoBleem. Included with that is Retroboot version 1.0.1, and I'm going to show you guys how to get it set up. This is Steve from Restalgia, and let's get started. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It really is one of the best ways you can support the channel. It gives me the ability to work with different brands, companies, and even developers to show you guys some really cool new products and software. I always give you guys my honest opinion to help you guys decide if something's really right for you. So please give the channel a sub and give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. Now let's get into the video. Alright guys, so as I just mentioned, we are currently going to be running AutoBleem 0.8.7, and that comes bundled up with Retroboot version 1.0.1, which has a ton of cool features too. What we're going to do is, rather than me going ahead and reading off all these release notes, I'm going to just tell you guys that there's a bunch of new add-ons that are going to be added in, so some really cool games that are ported in here. We've got a little bit of correction that we can do in terms of configuring our controller, and then we've got a few other options in terms of easier navigation and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this. I'm going to show you guys how to get this thing loaded up if it's your first time, or if you're going to be upgrading from a previous version. I'll kind of cover that really quickly too. And then we're just going to jump into it, and I'm going to do a demo for you guys. So as always, all the links to everything are going to be down below in the description. I've already got access to my release candidate, so I've already pre-downloaded it, which I've got right over here. I've extracted it as well, so if you haven't, you're going to have to right click, you're going to extract it to its own folder. So we've got that right here. We're going to double click on it, and within that, we're going to have all of our files that we need to transfer over to our USB drive. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to the side right over here. Next, what we're going to need to do is grab our previous build. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up really quickly too. And I've got that right here. I'm just going to set it up right to the side here. Okay guys, so everything in terms of getting this installed is actually really simple. If you are upgrading from a previous version, just highlight all the folders, click and drag them over to your USB drive, and it's going to start calculating. Now it is going to say, hey, we've got a bunch of files that are the same. Do you want to replace those files? The answer to that, of course, is yes. If you are running this on a Mac, it'll ask you if you want to replace them or if you want to merge them. You are going to want to merge them. So that's an important feature if you are running on a Mac. If this is your first time, what you're going to need to do is format your USB drive in FAT32 format, and you're going to need to label it as Sony all caps, and then you're going to copy all the files over onto your USB drive. Then the installation process is going to be more or less done. Then you pop it into the Player 2 USB port on your console, turn it on, and it should automatically boot up, assuming you are using one of the compatible USB drives. If you are obviously upgrading from a previous version, we know that you're good to go. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly fast forward through this process. Beautiful. So now that that's finished, we're actually done with our USB drive. We're going to go ahead and pop that into our PlayStation Classic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that now and switch over to that on screen. Okay, so here we are on the home screen for our AutoBleem build. This is again version 0.8.7. What I'm going to do is we're going to jump into Retroboot first, just to show you guys that it is on the latest version. So we're going to go ahead and hit square. And here we are. So my PlayStation Classic controller is going to be automatically configured. We are good to go. Now I've actually got my display settings on personal preference. I actually like this visual aesthetic better. But if this were your first time, it would look a little bit more like this. Let me just go ahead and get this loaded up. It's going to be running the Ozone theme. So I'm just going to set it to Ozone. We're going to reset it, and as you guys can see, this is what you should be seeing if this is your first install. I actually do like this version. I just happen to like the visuals of the other style a little bit better, so that's what I tend to keep mine on. But that being said, as you can see, we are currently running RetroArch version 1.8.4, and this is the Retroboot 1.0.1. Everything seems to be running properly, everything is ported over properly, and as you can see here, we've got access to our AutoBleem games, we've also got access to the pre-installed PlayStation games, any additional games that we would have personally added on here, and as well as our applications, and I'm going to talk about these when we get into AutoBleem itself. So that's pretty much it for the new Retroboot version. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and exit out of here, go over to our main menu, exit RetroArch, and we're going to shoot back over to our main boot screen. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump right on into AutoBleem and check out some of the new features that are going to be available to us. And the very first thing that I want to mention is that, as I'm sure you guys are aware, if you guys have a large library of games, it can be a little bit tough to bounce around to get to the ones that you want. So they've allowed for, if you press L1 and R1, it kind of bounces through the different letters of the alphabet. Now this is something that we've had for quite a while, but what they've actually done is expanded that. If we just press and hold either L1 or R, it'll actually filter right through all of these different letters, and then you can just release the button that you want and you'll stop on the letter that you're hoping to get to. So it just makes moving around this menu a little bit easier and a little bit less cumbersome. Additionally, if you're connecting in a third-party controller, previously you weren't able to remap a button if you made a mistake. You'd actually have to go into your USB drive, delete the config file, and then start over. Now they've actually allowed you to correct that just by pressing the circle button at the end. It'll cancel it, and then you can actually remap those buttons properly. And another really cool feature that they've included is, if you guys remember, if you hold the L2 and the select button, we're going to have a category section where we can actually take a look and filter through whatever we're specifically looking for, internal games, USB games, or if we created folders. We now have a game history section. So this is going to be a section that you would press and it would actually display any games that you've previously played, just so that way you can kind of get to them a little bit quicker without having to filter through things. So that's a nice little feature that they've included on this as well. But the big feature that a lot of people are hoping to see was all the different add-ons, and we got quite a few of them. So what we're going to go ahead and do is navigate to that by pressing the select button, and we're going to press it one more time, and now we are going to be on the apps. So as you guys remember, we've got the Amiiberry app that was brought over on the previous release, and OpenBore was also brought on the previous release, but we got quite a few other games that are going to be ported in now. We've got Doom, we've got Duke Nukem 3D, we've got Tyrian, we've got Prince of Persia, and we've got Wolfenstein 3D. So I think for this video, I'm just going to show you guys 2 of the 4 games. Doom, obviously everyone's kind of seen that, and same with Duke Nukem 3D. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys Tyrian, and I'm going to show you guys Prince of Persia, because I don't think they've been displayed very much, and I don't think many people have seen these things running on the PlayStation Classic. So that's what I'm going to show you guys. First, we are going to jump into Tyrian. Now the nice thing is that when you press the X button to accept that game, it's going to give you all your controls right out of the gate. It's going to give you a brief description of what this is. So this is going to be the DOS port of Tyrian, and it runs really, really well. And it is functioning properly and pre-configured to your PlayStation Classic controller. You do not need to go out and get a different controller. You don't need to plug in a PS4 controller or anything. What the developers have gone ahead and done is make sure that this is nice and convenient and ready to go out of the box. And that's the same for all games. If you do choose to use a third-party controller, you may be required to remap some of the buttons. But if you're going to use your PlayStation Classic controller, you should be good right out of the gate. So let's go ahead and jump into this and check this out.
Danger. Acquired.
Alright, and the next game I'm going to show off is the Prince of Persia port, which actually runs pretty nicely as well. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into that. And that's pretty much it, guys. I want to give a big shout out to the developers over at AutoBleem. I know they've been working really hard to get this out to you guys. Shout out to everybody working on Retroboot and with AutoBleem. You guys are doing some good stuff. If you guys want to personally thank any of the guys that are working on it, feel free to join their Discord. I will leave a link in the description down below. But that's more or less it. Please consider subscribing to the channel, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you did not like it. Leave a comment in the comment section below letting me know what you guys liked about this update, or if there's something specifically that you think they still need to work on. I will absolutely pass that message along, but that's more or less it. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will talk to you guys again real soon.